So then the next narrative that people are going to say is, well, who's next? The middleweight division, there's some contenders. And if you go to the top 10 from each in the middleweight division, we can go through the contenders. And again, I think this fight's going to age well for Khamzat and DDP, because the next guys in line, while they might scramble a little better than DDP, they're going to get finished. They're going to get finished. So a lot of people will say right now, RDR. He has a good guard, so Khamzat won't be able to lay there and do. Sure. RDR can't wrestle, and RDR is no threat on the feet either. So, and RDR will go for those transitions that will open up opportunities for Khamzat to finish him. I would bet my last dollar Khamzat finishes RDR. He's not as well versed, especially at this level when it comes to defense. He's not as physically gifted. He's not physically as strong as DDP. I have questions with his cardio, especially if DDP's taking him down over and over, because RDR will attempt to get up and roll for ankles and legs and stuff like that. That fight doesn't go 5 rounds. That fight doesn't go 5 rounds. It just doesn't. Imavov and Barrio, probably, who, if somebody gets a impressive win, like they get a finish, that will probably be the next guy in line if it's not RDR. I don't think either of those guys have the skill set to beat a guy like Khamzat. Here's how you beat a guy like Khamzat. It's very similar to Merab, where you're not going to be able to there's nobody on the roster. There's nobody in that top, we'll say 12 right now. There's nobody in the top 50, but there's nobody in the top 12 who can match Khamzat inside the octagon when it comes to wrestling. It's just not happening. So we know that's not a path of victory as far as out wrestling Khamzat. It's just not happening. He's probably the best wrestler in the UFC. Not happening. Okay, cool. So how do you beat Khamzat? You're going to get taken down. You're going to have to get up, and you're going to have to create opportunities. You're going to have to create Hail Marys. It's very similar to Merab and Corey Sandhagen. The reason why Corey Sandhagen has a chance to beat Merab is because he has those Hail Marys, meaning when Merab's shooting in a flying knee, a spinning elbow, it's going to take something like that to dethrone these guys. It's 1 in 100 chances of happening, but that's your only chance to beat these two. You have to have that Hail Mary, and you might lose 9 out of 10 times, but there is the opportunity, if you have that in your arsenal, to pull it off. But in general, Merab, Khamzat are going to be champions for very, very long stretches, because there's not much risk when you have their styles. You're not an Izzy, you're not an Alex Pereira, you're not a guy that gives them the opportunity to look for finishes on the feet. You're playing a different game. You're playing a much more safe game because you're so dominant in grappling. So it's on the opponent to try to create these windows, and it's such a Hail Mary, and it's such a small window to pull this off. And there's a few guys who can pull that off, but the chance of it happening are not good. So you get these these guys are reigning champs for a long, long time. Does that make sense, Chen?
Yeah.
So Corey Sandhagen has the ability to pull that rabbit out of his hat. Again, the chance of it happening are not good, and there's a reason he's a big underdog. I look at the rest of the roster at the middleweight division, and again, this loss for RDR is going to age well, because he's going to be probably the only guy in a long time who's able to survive Khamzat, and that's kudos DDP, because that's kudos to DDP that he was able to stay in there for 25 minutes and not get finished. I have a feeling for the next few fights, guys are going to be getting finished, because they're not DDP. They're not these big, strong brutes who are tough as nails, are aware of when Khamzat gets their back. They're going to go, all right, I don't want to lose like DDP. I'm going to take some chances, and that's when Khamzat's going to get finishes. Khamzat just didn't have a lot of opportunity for finishes. It wasn't there, and that's why you get this fight. again, I enjoyed it because seeing a guy like DDP at his level and his wins, and you look at his resume, you're like, holy shit, to do that to a guy for 25 minutes is wild. He pitched a shutout. Again, if you're a baseball fan and you watch your team pitch a shutout, it's not that exciting. For whatever reason, when Yoshi's pitching and he might give up 1 or 2 hits, it kind of sucks. Even though it's great for your team, it's not exciting at all. At first, you're like, okay, cool. After the first inning, you're like, okay. And then it's just more of the same for fucking 7 innings until the closer comes in, you know? But it's really not that fun. For whatever reason, the Dodgers really don't create a lot of offense when he's pitching either. So you get scores like 1-0, 2-1 if you're lucky. And there's not a lot of action. There's just not. But it's so impressive. It's insane. It's insane. But if every team in MLB had a guy who's capable of throwing shutouts every night, their ratings would suck, dude. People are like, this, dude, what the fuck? What do we like? Home runs. What do we like? Knockouts. What do we like? Finishes. We like that, and it is a form of entertainment. But at the same time, too, when a guy pitches a no shutout like Khamzat did, you have to appreciate it. You don't have to like it. I'm not saying that. And you can criticize it, but I think the criticism should come from both ends. Because it's not just Khamzat. Of course he wants to finish him. But there wasn't a lot of opportunity. And if he were to open up those opportunities for DDP to get up, then his opportunity and his chances of losing go up. So you can see why Khamzat kept with this game plan. DDP's team's going to have to answer a few questions. And I said this, after I came back from Newport and watching Khamzat at, Jackson's camp. And I did camps with GSP, who's one of the greatest ever. I've done camps with John Jones. I've helped out Randy Couture. I've never seen someone in training more dominant than Khamzat. And I thought, I've been away from the game for a little bit. I haven't seen too many camps, so I didn't want to come on here and fucking suck him off too hard. And also, I'm not privy and I don't have eyeballs on DDP's camp, so I didn't want to be too biased. But unfortunately for DDP, what Khamzat was doing to world-class guys, man. I'm talking the who's who of wrestling and grappling. He was finishing them and fucking them up way worse than DDP. I didn't want to come on here and ride him too hard, but I probably should have. But I just didn't know what DDP was capable of because he keeps winning. He is unorthodox style. It's hard to kind of bite into and really embrace, So it's like DDP always figures it out. Maybe he'll figure this out. And that's why the fight was interesting to me, because even after the third round, I was like, something's going to happen. He'll figure something out. And the coaching inside the corner, there wasn't I don't think they knew what to do. There wasn't a lot of coaching going on. What do you say? Your fighter doesn't have the skill sets to defend the takedown. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, his hips, and he never did this. I'm telling you, I've seen guys with the correct technique try to do it, and it didn't work. And this just validates what I was thinking and wasn't expressing. Khamzat is out of this world talented.